I want to start with something embarrassing, and I was part of it. Go through the outputs I worked on and reviewed from the Cross River scale-up. Count how many health workers were trained, and you get 5 answers. 39, then 174, then 152, then about 160. And the published report settles on 149. Now put them in the order they were written, because it runs the wrong way. The highest, 174, is a conference abstract from September 2018. The lowest is what we printed in the final report the following year. A count that falls 3 times over 18 months is not a measurement. It is different people reconstructing the same thing from whatever they could find. And the one nominal role that survives, the first 39, has community health officers and a nurse on it alongside the CHUs. Even the cleanest number is not counting quite what it says. That is what happens when you document outcomes and not process. And recommendation 8 is the one that would have prevented it. Recommendation 8 of BWEIM says, develop plans to assess and document the process of implementation, not the outcome, the process. And the guide is specific about what that means, because it knows the word documentation will otherwise be read as writing a report at the end. It asks you to document implementation using both qualitative and quantitative methods, in addition to assessing outcomes. It asks you to determine the costs of implementation and the costs to users. And it lists what process data actually covers, the inputs needed to ensure quality of care, the human resources and skills required, and management issues including leadership, supervision, incentive structures, costs, financing, logistics, and whether the information system works. Read that list again. Almost none of it appears in a standard results framework. All of it is what the next person needs in order to do what you did. Here is the part that makes this worth an episode rather than an apology. We did not fail to think of this. We built the instrument. There's a document in my files called the Implementation Mapping Tool, and it says exactly the right things. Its stated purpose was to capture significant changes in the original scale-up plan and in external factors that make a difference to outcomes, including, and I am quoting, both successes and failures. Its instructions for filling out the template set a cadence. This template should be updated at the end of every 2 months, or a shorter period of time, but at least every 2 months. And its third objective was written for people who were not in the room, future project teams who may want to replicate a similar project and observe lessons learned, so as to not recreate the wheel. That is a good tool. Somebody thought carefully about it. And that 2-monthly rhythm was not an administrative flourish by whoever drafted the template. When the resource team was constituted in February 2017, it agreed to meet every 2 months. And the 2 organizations supporting the work committed to monthly remote support, specifically to discuss and document the experience as it went along. 3 parties wrote that rhythm down at the start. There are 4 copies of that tool in my files. March 2017 is the blank template. A June copy is genuinely full, about 2,000 words of narrative, and carries not one date, because every date field was left as the instruction text meant to be replaced. Date. Who said this? So it records what somebody said and never when. The July copy has entries against 2 dates, one in March and 6 in June. And the April 2018 copy, 13 months on, is character for character, the same table with 5 lines pasted at the end about a meeting held that week. I diffed them. That is the whole record. A tool designed to be updated every 2 months holds 2 dated moments in over a year. And I want to be careful here, because it would be easy and wrong to make this a story about somebody being lazy. Nobody was lazy. That project trained health workers, changed the state policy, and moved the budget line. But notice what this actually is. It is not a template that nobody got round to. It is a gap against the commitment that 3 organizations made to each other in writing at the start of the work. The tool went unfilled because filling it was the only task on the work plan whose absence nobody would notice this month. That is the whole mechanism, and it is why documentation needs an owner and a date rather than a good intention. And there was a deeper reason, which the team wrote down honestly in the limitations of its own report. Their words: we discovered that the data collected in the Health Management Information System for implants were not disaggregated by health provider who delivered the service, making it difficult to say if it was a CHUB, a nurse or a doctor who provided the implant. The entire innovation was task shifting to CHUs, so the routine data system was structurally incapable of measuring the one thing the project existed to prove. And the team saw it. At a resource team meeting on the 29th of August 2017, they wrote down as one clause inside a longer action that somebody should advocate at the next meeting of the National Health Council to amend the informational system to capture the cadre of health provider giving family planning services. When that table was reviewed the following April, most rows had done or ongoing or not done written against them. That one is blank. So the counting problem I opened with is not carelessness. It is what happens when your innovation is invisible to the system that is supposed to be watching it, and nobody fixes the system. There is another line in that limitations section that I think about often. When the team finally did commission a proper documentation study in late 2018, they could not complete the interviews. And the interviews they could not get were with the development partners at state and national level. The report says they wrote, they phoned, people agreed, and then the scheduled interviews were cancelled owing to busy schedules, and all efforts to get them proved abortive. Read that as a practitioner. The people most able to explain why the process went the way it did were the least available to say so, and by then, the project was ending. Process documentation has a shelf life. The knowledge is in people. The people move, and the window in which they will talk to you closes long before you notice it is closing. I do not want to leave you with only the failure, because we have one clean example of the opposite, and it changed the project. At the end of August 2017, 3 of us traveled to Ecom local government area. 4 days, and most of it was something else. 2 of them a costed implementation plan workshop. 1 day was spent out at facilities, meeting the local government coordinators and watching a supervision visit to health workers already trained. 1 day. Out of it came a concept note proposing to scrap the plan for the following year. The plan had been to train 2 CHUs each from 59 facilities in batches of 30 at a central location for 10 days, with transport and accommodation and per diem for everybody. What the note proposed instead was a decentralized, local government-based model, clustered by ward, starting with one area to learn how to do it, and then phasing in another. 26 months later, the published report carried a recommendation headed, "Adopt a decentralized, local government-based training approach," in almost the same sentences, and added that it should be supervised by the state. That is process documentation doing its job. Somebody looked at how the work was actually being done, and a design decision changed as a result. It cost 1 day. The objection is fair, and I have made it myself. We are delivering. We do not have time to write about delivering. Documentation feels like the thing you do instead of the work. So let me put the trade honestly. The cost of documenting the process is a few hours every 2 months and 1 honest day in the field. The cost of not documenting it is that you cannot tell the next state how you did it. You cannot reconcile your own numbers, and you cannot answer the only question a government will ask you at handover, which is, what will this take to run? And notice that the guide asks for the costs of implementation specifically, not the budget, the costs. If you have never separated what the innovation costs to run from what your project spent, you do not have that answer, and nobody will be able to reconstruct it once the team disperses. So recommendation 8 is the one that protects everything you learned. Write down the process while it is happening, not at closeout. Use qualitative methods alongside the numbers, because the reasons live in the qualitative. Determine what implementation actually costs, including to the user. Check early whether the routine data system can even see your innovation, and if it cannot, fix that before you scale, because no amount of good reporting will rescue a measure that does not exist. And interview the people who can explain the process while they are still reachable. In the next episode, recommendation 9, advocating with donors and other sources of funding for support beyond the pilot stage. That is the episode about money, and it is the one where I have the most to say, and the guide, in my view, has the least. Subscribe so you do not miss it, and be honest with me in the comments. In your current program, if I asked you today how many people you have trained, how many places would you have to look, and would the numbers agree?